So it's great that you are that you have. Here's Karen. Karen wanted to be here too. We read with the four of us. We read through the book "Let Yourself Be Loved," the second, and so yeah, we had a beautiful time doing so. So I said, well, I'm talking to Sebastian, and they wanted to be there. So here we are. Sebastian, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do this, of course not. Like, I'm not determining anything here. But it's great to be open with you in the new light of the new world, you could say. Live here, that's really wonderful. And would you like to introduce yourself in some kind of way?
Thank you very much, Wim, and all of you for welcoming myself. Thanks for the invitation. I believe it is very important to share the light that we are receiving so we can co-create the new in union and relationship. I'm in Argentina. I born in Argentina, and I'm 57 years old. Have two daughters, and spirituality was always very important for me, although I walked through a very intimate path in terms of my experience with spirituality. I grew up knowing and having experiences with what we can call heaven, and because of that happened to me since I have memory, and because of that experience, I grew up under the belief that spirituality was all about an intimate relationship between the soul and its source, what we call God or the spirit. I never felt the need to share my own experience or my spiritual path until there was a moment in which I listened to the voice of Christ saying, now is the time to share with everyone what you have received in the depth of our intimacy. And that was the moment in which I was moved to create or to give shape to everything that I have received. Not only the words that I received and I was writing, but also to give shape to whatever the spirit tells me to do so. So I created a foundation through which I can share everything that I receive, and then the spirit moved some publishers that they came to me asking for, publishing the books. So all the messages that I began to receive in 2013 began to be books. I have received 9 works that include 17 books, and that includes the 7 books that are part of a series of Choose Only Love. And then there is a trilogy and so on. And Jesus told me that these revelations are different manifestations of 9 rhythms of the Spirit. So each work has its own purpose. It helps us to move through different stages of evolution in our consciousness. And those messages that I began to receive in 2013 and I still receiving are, shared under the form of books. One of the things that the Spirit wanted me to co-create was also a retreat center, which is called Refuge of Divine Love. And it is located in a delta in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And that is where I live. I live in an Iceland in that delta, and that was a very new experience for me because I was raised as a very urban person. I love, I'm in big cities and those kind of things. But our Divine Mother said, I want you to develop my house next to the river. And she showed me the place. And this is where we created this Refuge of Divine Love, which is a place where we welcome everyone who wants to come in order to have the experience of being united with the Divine Mother in union with nature. Our Divine Mother says constantly that we are now in the time of extending love in all the ways that we can extend. And that is basically my spiritual path. And this is what I'm doing right now. I'm just sharing in all the ways that the Spirit sends, whatever I receive. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for expanding on that. That's great. Oh, lovely. Yeah, so it's so individual where everyone comes to in order to say come in touch with who you really are, like that. So individual how that develops. So I can tell you a little about my how it worked for me, so to speak. So the relationship with Jesus was obvious, like even when I was a little child. I had a strong relationship with Jesus. So that went that far that when I was 3 years old, I said, no, I can sleep on the attic. I'm close to Jesus. Like he lives on the moon and I'm close to him. He can be there. So that was one thing. So the other was just like you shared, like the intimate relationship with the divine. I had a moment when I was 7 years old where my father was suddenly in a coma. I was on a camping site and he fell down and he was in a coma for half an hour. But that wasn't frightening to me. There was something else occurring. I didn't know what. But when he came down, so to speak, back into his consciousness here, he expanded about his incredible experience. And he was like a music, a real music man. But he said, what I've heard now are the celestial harmonies. I never heard anything like it. Like music isn't even coming close. And that touched me because I was all music myself too at that point, and still am, of course. So that's one thing. That was the very early stage. And then in one moment, coming into my adulthood, finding like the impossibility of everything that I was looking for as something that would bring me happiness, literally crumbled and fell up to the point that I realized I'm actually living fear. I'm totally in fear. And I'm sick and tired of that. I want to surrender into it because I don't know what else to do. I'm going to surrender completely into the fear. And that resulted in you could almost say a ritual, which I allowed myself to be completely surrendering into the fear. But what happened was not what I expected. So it became totally quiet. And I experienced from my withinness like the say perfect synchronicity of the universe in one flesh. And that has shaken my world, so to speak, right from that moment on, and making it really like a new search to stay in touch with my new discovery, but also to see what is possible in how can I be here and have this experience while I see that there's no reality in it. How does it work? So that has been a long integrative procedure, you could say, looking for a practice to actually come into training. And that was given to me by A Course in Miracles. Everything was falling apart again. I moved to a little town, suddenly in that town there was a Miracles Reunion Center, and the master teacher of A Course in Miracles apparently was there. He came to me in my dreams a couple of times before I met him, and I've been following him ever since as a guide, as an incredible healer to be in touch with, and showing me the way of recognizing that all that is happening within me, and coming to the recognition of the wholeness of my entirety through the practice of A Course in Miracles, A Course of Love. So that has led to whatever I do right now, in the sense of I'm listening, I'm following the guidance that I get. I have no idea what to do, but that's all given on a moment-by-moment basis, and it has expanded into an incredible journey, and possibilities to give myself away, to put in all the creativity and all the love that is present in me, and that I see happen. So that's really, that is said in a nutshell how that went for me. Yes. So thank you for listening to that. And I'm living in Holland, in the Netherlands. So the first thing, this is one thing that was interesting to me. I will share this with you because I'm actually curious, in the sense of you channel these books, these come to you, you receive them under guidance, you receive them. Now here's it. How are you practicing what you receive? Can you tell us something about that? How are you practicing what you receive? Like, receiving is one thing, but accepting it or demonstrating it is another thing. You get the possibilities for it, sure, I know, but like, how can you tell us something about how you practice that?
Thank you, Wim, very much for your interest of knowing how the revelations are unfolded, so to speak. I think in order to answer this question, I need to share how was my spiritual path, because this is not something that it is disconnected from our path, from the way we walk through. Since I have memory, I have the experience of a strong connection and visions and some mystical experiences with Jesus and Mary and angels and the Holy Spirit. And because that was natural for me, I never thought that was something extraordinary. I thought that was the way it is. And I just walked through that path. It was when I was 6 years old, when I was in, I was, in a situation in which my mother was driving and there was an accident. A train crashed to the car, and I was inside the car with my siblings and my family. And in that moment, I went down the train, and also one of my brothers went to the same place, and he died because of that accident. And in that situation, I could feel immediately that someone was embracing me, allowing me not to move. It was a situation of living or dying just if you move just a little bit. And I felt a presence that embraced me and kept me, staged and fixed without being able to move anything of my body, which saved me from in that situation. And then when the train passed over, I felt that presence that picked me up and moved me to 3 or 4 meters from that place, to keep me safe. And in that moment, I felt and I listened to a voice saying, "It is me. Don't be afraid. It's me. I'm here with you. Don't be afraid. It's me. I'm here with you," over and over. And that voice created in me the experience of an immense love, security, and authority. And I never experienced fear in that situation because of that presence. And I recognize that presence as Jesus. And a strong presence of authority, the authority that created an experience in which whatever that voice says, it is created. When that voice says, "Do not be afraid," you can't be afraid, because it creates what it says. That was my experience. And that voice was with me and that presence during the few hours after this episode. And until I returned back to the house, which was several hours later, because we had to go to the hospital and those kind of things. And after that moment, I felt in love with that love, that infinite love that I experienced at the age of 6 years old because of this situation that I mentioned before. And I knew at that moment that love will not be able to be experienced in this world. So I began to have the feeling of, there was a question in my heart at that moment saying to Jesus, to this presence of love, "Why didn't you take me to where you are instead of taking my brother?" Because it was not a feeling of not wanting to leave or something like that. The feeling came from this deep understanding that all the love that my soul was looking for cannot be found in this world, but yes, can be found in the realm in which this presence was living, according to my understanding at that age. And then that voice told me, "I didn't do that because I need you in the world." And that was my mantra, so to speak. Jesus told me, "I want you to be in the world without being of the world." And that was something very important in my life. And after that episode, I began to go deeper and deeper into my direct relationship with Jesus and Mary and what we can call the realm of spirit. So I have many different mystical experiences during my whole life. But then there was a moment in February 2013 in which I listened to the voice of Jesus saying, "I want you to write for me. From now on, you will be called a pencil in the hands of God, a pencil in the hands of love." And that was the moment for the first time in which I received, so to say, the commandment or the guidance to write whatever I received. That was the first receiving, and then it came Choose Only Love and the rest of the books that are in published or in process of being published. At that moment, I didn't think I would do something with that. I just received and
Yeah.
and I kept whatever I have, without trying to do anything with that. And that comes just, at the beginning, it was very difficult for me to sustain the energy of the revelation, because it created anxiety in my humanity. The reason why that happened to me, according to Jesus, was because it is a different frequency, and our humanity begins to get accustomed to that frequency, to the energies that are moved through that process. So I would say that I've been like 3 or 4 years feeling this anxiety, or kind of anxiety, or this sensation of not being able to manage those energies. And my body was creating a lot of resistance. So I had many challenges, so to speak, from my body,
Yeah.
because my body was becoming adjusted to that. So I had to sleep so many hours a day, and had all kind of illness and problems with my health and those kind of things. And also, it was a moment in which my mind was experiencing a deep, deep fear to become crazy. Because, as you mentioned before, something that happened to me was, where is reality? What is real now? It is real. This experience, which I felt more real than this world, and but at the same time, after receiving all of this, which is an energy and frequency, I began to feel like I'm not going to be able to live in this world, because I don't know how how to function, how to be adapted to the system.
Yeah.
Because these energies began to create in me more desire to be alone, to be in my intimacy with Christ, and in that kind of process. So I began to be transformed deeply because of that. And that was, the moment in which I received the message of becoming a pencil in the hands of God, and began with receiving and writing, was the final step of a process of my soul, which is the dark night of the soul. I was immersed into that dark night of the soul for 11 years. And then that process finished, and I began to be moved to a new step, which was a process of integrating everything into my humanity. That's why one of the revelation is called embodiments of love.
Yeah.
Which is the Christ becoming flesh in our humanity. And that is the moment of integrating everything.
Yeah.
So finally, as a brief conclusion, it was a process of evolution of my consciousness, in which I reached one step in which the revelation wanted to be manifested through me. And that was part of the dark night of the soul, which is a process of transmutation of consciousness, in which we are moved from an egocentric identity to find and remember our true identity in Christ, and then to integrate that into our humanity. That was my process, and that is what I share with everyone. We came here to remember who we are. We can be detached from the ego identity, from our mental and, thinking mind to our heart in order to allow our true identity to be manifested and integrated into our humanity.
Yeah, absolutely. Great, thank you. That's a beautiful description of, thank you so much. That's wonderful. Yeah, I love it what you say and the process you so personally expressed. Thank you, Sebastian. That's great. That's great. Yeah, so this is very recognizable. These processes are intense where you go through, but they lead to something. It's like I share this a lot as an even a cellular process. It's like literally the memories are in your cells. They are transmuted. The light is there. So these cells are starting to recognize that light and wanting to integrate it into itself because it knows it so well. And that comes with a whole glandular change, emotional, neurological change, psychological change. You go through the phases of almost all of the mental illness you can imagine. The paranoia, the depression, manic depression, or whatever it is for you. Like, I recognize that being in this process also for a very long time, but it's incredible to discover, and you know this too. It's incredible to discover all the help that is available, that everything is right there for you when you need it. It is right there to help you move through some tunnels or some darkness where there's really the hand waiting for you, to reaching out to you to come to places that you didn't know you could ever come to. So this is my experience with the miracles that are happening during this process, but also like that continues. Everything continues to fall exactly in the right place. So this initial, speaking then from my own experience, like the initial awakening in the idea of a perfect synchronicity is more like, well, that is still being revealed to me every moment, every time. If I think I need to be somewhere else, I'm mistaken. I'm exactly in the right place. Everything around me is configured exactly for now, for this instant. So I'm happy to share that moment with you and that you take part in it. Oh, what an incredible miracle. Yeah, that's great. That's great. That's lovely, Sebastian. I'm so happy to meet you. Thank you. Thank you.
Me too. And thank you very much for sharing also your inner process. And I would like to take this opportunity to tell, not necessarily to you, but to everyone who will receive this video or to the universe. So what I'm going to say is going to reach whomever has to be reached. And it is the following. That voice that I began to listen clearly through the process that I mentioned before is a voice that everyone listens. We all listen to the same voice of love, which is the voice of the truth.
Yeah.
The difference between one person and another person, according to what Jesus told me, is that maybe that voice is touching you and you decide to incarnate that voice through being a good citizen or being a good wife or a good, raising a family with values and love. Maybe others create music, maybe others become monks or political, activities. Every time that we listen to the voice of love, to the voice of the truth, to the voice of the transcendent reality, we are channeling, because we are channels no matter what we do. We are constantly channeling. So for me, the word channeling, which is very common in spirituality in these days, I think it's important to understand it within the context of consciousness. We all are channels of the divine reality that is being manifested through our existence. And it takes infinite forms. We all are one of those forms of the manifestation of the divine reality. And we are all walking through the same path, which is returning back to love, returning back to the truth of who we are. And we will all remember that truth, walking through different ways because we are unique. But there's nothing extraordinary on, listening to the voice of love. Jesus says, in fact, it would be extraordinary if you can't listen to it. Because that is what you are. There is a direct relationship between God and the soul, and that relationship is constantly being manifested. I just wanted to share that with you, because sometimes we were told that those who listen to the voice of love are special or extraordinary people. And this is something that Jesus wants us to change in our way of thinking. We are ordinary people listening to the voice of love, which is what we all do in one way or another. And thank you very much for listening to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, so it's like a universal experience to be in direct communication. Like there's no other way, in fact. You cannot walk away from that. Is what I say many times too, that you can't walk away from that. Like that's literally impossible. So you always end up with yourself. And that's great. So thank you for sharing this in this way. I appreciate that. But it's great to hear you speak, Sebastian. So that's really something I enjoy. And so now, oh yeah, I want to show you something. Just as kind of, okay, this a creative process is a creative process, and you never know. I want to show you. I want to show you what something that happened that I started to design, but I just it was too much fun how it came to me. So I like, okay, I got to show this too. So these are called love letters, and you recognize it. This is from chapter 1, for instance. So there's one expression that is so profound that you want to read that one more time and one more time and another time. And it's a beautiful way to extend it. And so these are like little rays of light shining. Yeah. So you want to read one out loud for us?
Sure.
Since you're here.
Thank you very much for the beautiful energy that they emanate, So let's close your eyes if you feel comfortable, so you can receive these words as what they are, a love letter coming from the divine reality, from the divine mother to you, to your heart. Beloved of light, those who live consciously in love have the power to tell the wind to cease and to fall silent. And of this we assure you. at their disposal is all the power of heaven and earth. For love is the sovereign of creation, its foundation.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So here's one more.
The path of detachment may seem difficult, but only at the beginning. Sooner or later, you will realize it is not necessary to own anything because nothing is really external to you. Why seek to own that which is already yours, that which is a part of you? Why seek to own that which is already yours, that which is a part of you? There's nothing outside.
That's great. Thank you. That's lovely. So I made about 6 cards of chapter 1 of this book. Yeah, we had like I really felt like, okay, I need to stay with one book, and this was the one I bought like 4 years ago when it just came out. I had like, okay, I want to check this out. I want to listen to this. So after some years now, finally I opened the book to start reading it, and I like, oh my God, that is so great. We're going to, because I was actually just we did a meditation with Revelations 21. I told you this probably. It's like a new heaven and a new earth, and that's such a beautiful meditation using Revelations 21. But then the follow-up to stay in the same frequency, I asked Jesus, what am I supposed to use in this, because I really cannot make it up. I know that. And then this book came up, Let Yourself Be Loved, and that was so perfect because in the prelude it shared something so beautiful that I had like, well, look at that. It is just exactly the same frequency that I receive here, and I love to use that to continue that, to give that. It's like a real beautiful high love frequency that is receivable here, you could say. It is receivable because I'm able to receive this. Now I can give it away. So that was the occurrence. Otherwise we would not sit here. Probably. Yeah, so we're getting to the end of our moment together. I had we have something coming up in a moment. So I want to thank you for our time together. It is totally appreciated. And who knows when we continue this. And of course it doesn't stop, but it's really lovely to have this moment shared with you. Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Wim, and all of you. Thanks for your love and for your yes to love. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. See you around. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye for now. Thank you.